Also you.
Oh,
That was my kind of.
If a patient is taking pain medication for back pain, what organelle is responsible for detoxifying, removing the toxins from the medication to the outside itself?
Peroxisome. Okay. Somebody else? Please stand up. Both of you. And speak up.
A woman finds out that she's unable to get pregnant. The doctor learns from testing that her eggs won't travel down the fallopian tube. What organelle isn't functioning properly?
Cilia. Cilia is not an organelle. Cilia is a structural component of cells. Okay? But yes, see, that was perfect. I would have thought of the same kind of question to test you guys. Okay? Somebody else? Yes, go ahead. Please, both of you stand up. And speak up and face the, not me, face the audience.
Okay. Patient goes to the doctor complaining of fatigue or lack of energy. Doctor discovers patient isn't eating nutritional food and is skipping meals. What organelle is affected due to this behavior?
Is it mitochondria? Yes. Good. Okay. Now, as you go further, yes, there could be more answers, but for right now, what your knowledge is, that's right. Okay? Anybody else? One more, come on. It's not that hard. I'm going to pick then. Good. Stand up. Okay, face the audience. Or everybody. Quiet, you guys. Go ahead.
If a patient comes into an urgent care complaining of shortness of breath and difficulty breathing, what abdominal pelvic quadrant or quadrants would you need to be examining?
Can you repeat the question or the case name?
If a patient comes into an urgent care complaining of shortness of breath and difficulty breathing, what abdominal pelvic quadrant or quadrants would you need to examine?
Primarily, I guess, the left upper, right upper.
Yeah, the little ones. Yeah.
The long.
Which one?
The right upper and the left upper.
So that's really good. It's just they're not responsible to memorize what organ. But yes, exactly. Your idea is correct. That's how I would. If I made you memorize every single organ in each quadrant, yeah, I would have used that exact same question. Okay? Do you guys see how the questions are being formed? So when you study, use this. Okay? Of course, my question might not be exactly the same as you, but that one was perfect if I had made it. I really like this A one. That's just, I would say the female's infertile because something, I would have constructed it, but yeah. Okay? This is the reason I did this is so you guys' brain starts thinking how to construct it, how it would be asked on your exam. Okay? All right. But what I tend to do instead of having short ones, you will see your critical thinking is actually like half a paragraph, and from that one thing, I have 18 questions. Okay? Some of them are directly linked, some of them is just other questions I'm asking, just random questions. On your test, am I going to have a big one and ask you 20, 15 questions? No. I might have one, might ask you 3 questions, and you have to get the first one right to even answer the second one. Okay? I try not to do that. I try to do that as we get closer to final. Yes, final, I can ask you basic information, but in a case scenario format. Okay, so now, any questions? No? I think today we're going to be here till 1, so we still have another. Okay, I'm going to go through this really fast. Okay, it's not hard. Now, cell cycle or cell reproduction is basically where one cell becomes 2 new cells via cell cycle. Okay? So you start off with 1 cell and you produce 2 new cells. And that process is called the cell cycle. The purpose is to grow. This is how you go from a baby into adulthood. Okay, your baby maybe had 1,000 cells. Adult, you have 25,000 cells. How does that happen? Because each cell goes through the cell cycle, therefore you're able to grow. Grow and also replace damaged cells. You You don't want your damaged cells to stay. You want to replace them. Throughout childhood and adolescence. Okay. Throughout childhood and adolescence. Every single cell in our body is going through a cell cycle. But when you're in adulthood, okay, certain cells no longer go through the cell cycle. They do not replicate anymore. Okay? So only certain cells. Okay? What is, if somebody got in a car accident and damaged their spinal cord, what is the result? They become paralyzed, right? They cannot move certain limbs, certain body parts. Now because the brain cells or the spinal cord cells, they do not regenerate. They're no longer in adulthood found in the cell cycle. They don't go through the cell cycle. Okay? But other cells like skin cells, you always have skin being regenerated, right? If you got a scrape, your skin comes back because it'll always go through it. So right here is a cell cycle. As you can see, you started with one cell, goes through, and at the end, now you have two new cells. Okay? One is the original, another one is the new daughter cell. Okay? Now, purpose is growth. What cells? All cells. Now, phases. A is, okay, A is talking about this whole segment, which is called interphase. Okay? B is only talking about this segment, which is called the M phase. Okay? And F is called the G0 phase. G stands for growth or gap, depending on the book used. Growth or gap. So gap 0 or growth 0. Okay? So 3/4 of the pie is interphase, 1/4 of the pie is M phase. Now, as you can see, the interphase, the 3/4 of the pie, is split up into 1, 2, 3 smaller sections. C is called gap 1 or growth 1. Okay? G1. G stands for growth or gap. D stands for S phase. Okay? And E stands for G2. Now, what occurs in G1 phase? All organelles duplicate, except DNA. So everything within the cell duplicates except DNA. Genetic material is the only thing that does not duplicate in G1. So if I have 4 mitochondria, I have 4 mitochondria. By the end of G1, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 or I have 8 mitochondria. Does that make sense? S phase is DNA synthesis. This is when the DNA duplicates. DNA duplicates. We had 46 chromosomes. All of you right now have 46 chromosomes. So you start out with 46, and when you finish, you have 92. Make sense? And then G2 is gap 2 or growth 2. And this is where everything is just growing. So you produced the 4 new mitochondria, right? You duplicated. But these mitochondria are pretty small. They need to become optimal size. So in growth 2, everything is just growing, maturing. Okay, growth and mature. Make sense? Now, I told you that G0, this is G0. growth 0 or gap 0. These are the cells that no longer go through the cell cycle. So in adult, it would be a brain cell. Make sense? Because they will no longer go through the cell cycle. They're outside of the cell cycle. Make sense? Am I going a little fast? Okay. Now, mitosis, M phase is split up into two smaller phases. You have mitosis, which is right here, and then you have cytokinesis. Okay? Mitosis is basically the DNA dividing. Okay? Basically, it's where 92 is split up into 46, 46. That is the function of mitosis. Cytokinesis is the cell dividing now. So you had one big cell, it turns into two normal looking cells. So this was a huge cell, it splits into two. Does that make sense? Okay? So mitosis, DNA dividing, cytokinesis, the cell actually dividing. Okay? And everything within the cell. Mitosis has four subphases. As you can see right here. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Okay? And you have another slide which goes more in detail. Now, anytime in my lecture notes, if you see a figure, please always cancel that out because I also use this one in the class and it correlates with their book. Okay, not your basis. So anytime you see any of your notes that says refer to figure or something, okay, unless I make that announcement in class, it's just, I forgot to delete that one. Okay. Let's talk about mitosis a little bit more in detail. Mitosis produces diploid cells, meaning 46 chromosomes. Okay. One nuclear division. Occurs in all cells except gametes. Gametes are the egg and the sperm. So mitosis does not occur in egg or the sperm, but it occurs in every other cell. Your skin cell, your brain cell, your heart cell, etc. Well, brain cell to a certain degree, certain level. What phase of the cell cycle is this? It's the M phase. Right? It's part of the M phase. What are the phases? They go in this particular order. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So PMAT. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Memorize it in that particular order. Now, I have a slide over here which shows you the complete M phase. Up to here, so here's interphase, then you have mitosis, and then you have cytokinesis. Okay? They're color coordinated. So if prophase is with a red line, the red dots belong to prophase. So take 2 seconds that you have black and white copy to basically compare it or identify which ones. So the first 4 belong to prophase. Only 1 belongs to metaphase, 1 belongs to anaphase, 2 belongs to telophase, and 1 belongs to cytokinesis. And also 1 over here. So it starts in that order. 1, the next 4, the next first, next 1, next 2, and next 1. Okay? Now, I'm not going to read word for word. You guys can read this. I'm just going to basically summarize what's going on. Prophase is everything is getting ready for mitosis to occur. Okay? Remember I told you centrioles, they're randomly just in a cell and they needed doing cell replication. This is cell replication. The centrioles were just randomly somewhere in the cell. They basically migrate to the opposite side. One goes to this side, one goes to that side. From the centrioles, basically this web-like structure, the string-like structure comes out. And they go and attach to the chromosomes. Okay? So it's like a Spider-Man. Okay? Spider-Man has the web. What is the purpose of the web when he shoots it? It goes attaches somewhere and he's able to pull it towards him, right? Same thing. So think of the centriole as like the hand of the Spider-Man. These web-like structures are called mitotic spindles. And the mitotic spindles will attach to the chromosome and pull them towards itself. Make sense? So everything is, in prophase, everything is just getting ready. So the nuclear membrane dissolves. Centrioles migrate to opposite side and release mitotic spindles. The mitotic spindles will just go attach to the chromosomes. At this point, we're done with prophase. Now you have metaphase. Metaphase is all of the, due to these mitotic spindles pulling on them, all of the chromosomes line up right in the middle. Okay, and for the middle. As you can see right here, they're all lined up perfectly straight. Anaphase is, because now these mitotic spindles are pulling on them, basically the chromosomes were like this, now they get pulled apart and they go to the opposite poles of the cell. You can see they're going this way, they're going this way. Telophase is now the genetic material is on the opposite side, everything starts to reconstruct, meaning the nuclear membrane will reform, the centrioles release the mitotic spindles, mitotic spindles are degraded, centrioles are like, I'm done with my work, and it goes, takes a nap, okay? And then the cell, as you can see right here, is perfectly oval. Right here, you can see it starts to invaginate a little, right? That's telophase. It's preparing to become two new cells. Cytokinesis is this invagination continues, therefore you have two new cells. So in cytokinesis, all of the organelles first divide. You had 8 mitochondria, 4 go on this side, 4 go on this side. You had 12 ER, 6, 6. After all of the contents of the cytosol has evenly distributed, then invagination continues and becomes two new cells. It's like you have a big dough and you pinch out a little bit. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, a mnemonic I use for this is basically I tell you guys a tragic love story. Okay, that's what my students name, the tragic love story. So, let's say you're going to go on a date. Okay, what do you do for a date? Girls, what do? You do your hair, you shave, eyebrows, etc. Right? Makeup. Guys, hopefully do the same. Okay? So, some portion of it. Okay, so basically you're preparing for the date. Okay? Now, as I told you, I live an hour away. I live in Victorville. You guys, let's say, live in Anaheim. Okay? He doesn't want to drive down there. You don't want to drive up there. So you tend to meet somewhere in the middle. Let's say the Rancho Cucamonga. Okay? All the chromosomes line up in the middle. Then your family does not approve of your partner, so they start pulling you apart. So now you're alone. A for anaphase, alone. Chromosomes are being split apart. Okay? Telophase is where the cell is starting to become a new cell. So now you're thinking, T for telophase, that it's not going to work out with this significant other, and you start to pull away. Okay? And cytokinesis is where they're completely new cells. So you're completely moved on. You got a new boyfriend, he got a new girlfriend. Make sense? It actually helps you memorize what's going on in the state. Okay, this is just another photo of the cell cycle showing you what happens. Again, just photos. Okay, I'm not going to go through them, but you can look at them. This is showing you what happens. So we're done with this one. Take a 15 minutes. I'm going to exactly start at 12. Or actually take 10 minutes because it takes people to settle down. 10 minutes and I'm going to start at 11:55. Because we have another long day. Yes.